Today we're going to be solving equations. I decided not to post a video because this was a pretty difficult assignment. Uh, these are not going to be the equations you guys have been used to working. They're a little tougher than usual, so I was going to work us into it slowly, and let's do one more video in class together. So let's get started. These equations, let's start out with example 1. Equation with a variable on both sides. You'll notice I've got a 13y and an 8y on both sides. This is a problem. So let's go ahead and start solving this. I like to start with my variable. I'm going to subtract 8y from both sides. Okay. Obviously these will cancel. Over here we'll be left with a 5y. So now it's 5 plus 48 is equal to negative 47. Okay, we're going to subtract 48 from both sides. Subtract 48 from both sides. Cancels on the left. The only thing that's left on the left side of the equation is a 5y. That's a little bit better 5. Alright, and it's going to leave us with a negative 95. I believe I did that in my head. I might want to double check me. Now we're undoing multiplication. Remember that word undo. I use that to help you to understand when we're trying to do the inverse of an operation, or the opposite of an operation. As long as you do it on both sides, it's legal. So that's going to leave me with a y over here, and I believe that one ends up giving us negative 19. And always with an equation, I need you to check your answers. I will be doing this live in class, so I'll check our answers as we go on the board. Before I go on too much further down the page, not a lot of definitions in this chapter, but I wanted to talk to you guys about what a solution is. A solution is a number that makes the equation true. Occasionally there's more than one number. Occasionally when there's more than one number, one of the numbers don't work, as we'll see later on in some upcoming lessons. Alright, so that's example 1. I'm going to pull up in the green down here, and I'm going to pause it just a second. You guys need to pause your computer and try to work the green equation, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, hope y'all got negative 3 on that. Let me explain real quick. I always like to start on the right side and move. I like to keep my variable on the left, numbers on the right. That's just a personal preference. It does not matter. I could have started out by subtracting negative 7x, but I didn't. So subtract negative 2x from both sides. Cancels there, leaves me with a 5x here. Bring down your 3, bring down your negative 12. Okay, now it's a two-step equation. First thing we got to do, and you probably learned this in Algebra 1, undo additions and subtractions first. As y'all can plainly see, we've got an addition right there. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, cancel. Subtract 3, got to do it on both sides, remember the golden rule. It's going to give me negative 15. Bring down my 5x. Now we're undoing multiplication by dividing. 5 over 5 cancels and gives us a 1x, but we don't write that 1. We talked about that yesterday in class, if y'all remember. And negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. Alright, cool. That's the first set. I hope y'all did well. Let's move on to the second set, example 2. Let me back it up just a little bit. Alright, we'll pick up the pace here just a little bit. As y'all can see, we've got variables on both sides, and we've got parentheses, got distributive property. We got all kinds of things happening here. So we dive right in here kind of quick with this problem. Alright, so this one's pretty rough. So let's take our time here, and I'm going to take it one step at a time. Not sure if I left myself enough room, but here you go. We're not going to do anything with the 3x just yet. Okay, I'm going to write a little smaller, so y'all bear with me. First thing we're going to do is distribute this -7. -7. It's going to give me a -14x. -7 times -13 is positive 91 equals. Once again, distributive property, bang, bang. That's going to give me a -6x, and 3 times 9 is 27. Okay? As y'all can plainly see, we have a mess at this point. Okay? So, let's try to begin cleaning this mess up. Alright. Once we've taken care of our parentheses and got those out of the way, got our distributive property taken care of, you quickly look over both sides of the equation and see if there are any terms to collect. As y'all can see, we got a 3x and a -14x. Okay, I'm going to highlight that right here. I'm going to take care of that operation right there first. Alright, so let's do that. 3x minus 14x is -11x. This problem is looking better and better with every step. Okay, here we go. We got -6x now, plus 27. Alright, we have just made this problem look like my first example now. Now it's a two-step equation with a variable on both sides. And let's hope that our numbers kind of straighten out. I don't know if they are or not. Let's see. Alright, you got a choice to make here. You can either add 11x or add 6x. Remember, my rule of thumb, I like to keep my variables on the left because that's standard, and that's usually what your book does. Okay? Also, your ACT test, probably your answers that are equations will be written in that form. I'm having all kinds of trouble with that x. Alright. Cancels, that's -5x plus 91, don't have to deal with a big number here, equals positive 27. I'm going to subtract 91. Remember up top here when we said undo additions and subtractions first? Well, here's where we are on that again. Same situation. Alright, this time we got a 91 to deal with. This one's going to be tough to do in my head, so let me pause it. Alright, I'm not for sure, but I believe that is going to give me a -64. So we're going to get a rough answer here, but who cares? It's part of the deal. We go -5 on both sides. Alright, let me stop right here and explain once again. We've got a multiplication going on, y'all, so we've got to undo multiplication by dividing. Cancels, leaves me with my 1x. My left side's happy now. So who cares what happens on the right? We get a fraction, we get a fraction. It doesn't matter. Alright? And contrary to popular belief, it is okay to leave your answers improper. Alright, so we get 64/5. If you change that to the if you want to change that to a decimal, be my guest. I, however, am not going to. Alright, the green one's for you, so let's have at it, guys. I'm going to pause it. When you come back, the problem we've worked, and we will talk about it. Okay, here we are again. Did you guys get -24/7? Let's walk through this one real quick. Very similar to the problem I just worked, but much better numbers. Alright, here we go. Distribute, you get 4m plus 36. Distribute, you get -3m plus 12. Okay, just distributive property. Okay, two-step equation, variable on both sides. Seems to be a recurring theme this morning. But here we go. I decided to keep my variable on the left, blah, blah, blah. We're going to add 3m to both sides. Gone. That's 7m. Bring down the 36. Bring down the 12. Now it's a two-step equation with a variable just on one side, just on the left side. subtract 36 from both sides, and you guys should be able to handle it from there. Bring down the 7m. 12 minus 36, negative 24. Divide both sides by 7. Bang. Okay. Here's kind of where it gets a little funky. Y'all may or may not recognize this equation. This is a popular equation that you did last year in your geometry classes. This is the area of a trapezoid. Okay? In case you're ever wondering where you might use an equation, sometimes we may be given a different part of the equation. For instance, we might not be looking for area. We may be given the area, we may be given the bases, and we may be looking for the height. So, the powers that be decided it might be a good idea to teach our kids before they go into the workforce how to deal with these formulas and how to solve for a specific variable like h. Okay? This is pretty cool, and this is one of my favorite things to teach because it's very challenging. So here we go. The best place to start on these, and these are really difficult to understand, so kind of hone into here to every word I say and take good notes. The main idea of this section in the equations chapter is to isolate the h. Right now we've got the a isolated. We want to get the h by itself on one side or another. So on this one you're not going to hear me talking about left and right a whole lot. So here we go. The first thing I do, anytime you see a fraction, we are going to get rid of the fraction. Every single time. Okay? And I learned a trick a long time ago that says if I will multiply both sides by whatever is in the denominator, it will get rid of that fraction. Now I'm going to go over more of this in detail, but for right now all I'm going to tell you is that on the right side the 2's will cancel. On the left side we'll be left with the 2 capital A is equal to, my h is still there, times B1 plus B2. Okay. Now this looks kind of bad to y'all, but we are nearly finished with this guy. Watch this. This is the coolest thing. Keep in mind, we're solving for h, guys, okay? So anytime you're trying to isolate a variable, you need to keep in mind what that variable is doing. What is the h doing? Well, he's trying to multiply times all this stuff, okay? So, I left the parenthesis out. So, since h is trying to multiply by all this stuff, and all this stuff is grouped together inside parentheses, let me back up here real quick. I got to erase something, fellas. I apologize for that. Okay. I made a mess. Okay, here we go. Alright, we got rid of those brackets, didn't we? Okay. Since h is being multiplied by all this stuff, and all this stuff is in parentheses, to undo that big multiplication there, just like I've done in the previous 2 or 3 problems, I can divide by all of those things in the parentheses. And they will cancel just like all the numbers did in the previous problem. So what you'll be left with is B1, B2, and if you want to, you can throw the parentheses around it, but it really doesn't matter because it cancels, and we are solved for h on the right side this time because it doesn't matter, right guys? Right, on the left side we've got a 2a, and then we've got a B1, and we've got a B2. Alright. So if we needed to find the height of a trapezoid, given its area and its 2 bases, we could plug the area in there, add the bases, multiply by 2, divide it, and that would tell us the height. So it's a very useful little tool to have when you're solving formulas.